We have been talking all about summer things in our little summer series. If you're just tuning in, we have talked about ways to save money. We've talked about no spend options for summer activities. We've also talked about fun summer snacks that you can make at home and how we save money with prepackaged snacks and using those only during certain times. So today's video is going to be actually all about crock-pot meals. So if you're like me, you probably think of crock-pot meals as being something that is a winter thing, a fall and winter thing with soups and stews and chili and all of that kind of thing. And certainly that's what comes to mind first. But the more I have thought about summer meals, I just thought I want things to be easy. I want us to be grilling and keeping the heat outside. And we've been going and doing and peopling, and I need something that's a low commitment, not a lot of time invested, but also saves us money. So for the past 2 weeks, I have just been doing a lot of crock-pot meals. So I took video all along the way, and I want to take you guys with me and show you these recipes. These definitely are not cooking show quality as far as having all the different angles and the different details, but I think it just helps to see that this was a very real, in the moment thing. I was just filming as we were going, and a lot of times I didn't have a lot of time. I had maybe 15 minutes and that was it to put these meals together. So as we were heading out to a friend's house, or as we were heading out to the pool or the splash pad, I was just putting these things in the crock pot, and then I knew whenever we'd come home, we'd walk in and we would have the smell of supper being ready. And that was just one thing I could check off the list. All right, so we are just gonna jump right in. The first recipe that we are making is for pork carnitas. So on this day, we were headed to the splash pad with friends, so we had lots of things to get ready.
Is that a navel?
It's a navel orange.
I'll help you.
No, everything by the door needs to go in the car. So this recipe begins with lots of ingredients that you probably already have in your home. It uses 2 different types of citrus juice. It uses orange juice and lime juice. So I started by just getting those juiced up. I always roll them so that I can make sure I get the maximum amount of juice out of them. And then you use a combination of oregano and cumin to make a spice rub to go on the pork. So you combine those 2 with oil. You can use avocado oil or olive oil, and you make it sort of like a paste, and then you're going to rub that on your pork. I find that I use spices all the time, so it's really important for me to keep my spice cabinet well stocked. Once the meat rub is finished, I set that aside and I started working on the marinade that kind of gets poured over the top. So like I said, you have that citrus juice, but then you also have some garlic and some jalapeno, and I just toss that right into my little juicer so I can avoid making more dirty dishes than necessary. So the marinade, the rub, it all goes in there into the crock pot, and I'm just making sure that I get everything really well coated. Also, one thing that I do is if I'm only using half an onion for a recipe, I go ahead and chop the rest and freeze it. So I almost always have frozen chopped onion in my freezer, and it really works in a pinch to just go ahead and know I don't have to chop up an onion because I already have that in there. This recipe is one that I have shared on my channel before, and it's just because it is so good. All right, so there it is. It will cook on low here for, how long does it say? All right, so we'll be cooking on low for 6 to 8 hours, and then when it's 145 in the middle, we'll separate it with a fork. Now this one does have an additional step where you can put it on a sheet pan and sort of broil it to get those sort of crispy kind of burnt ends. And honestly, I usually don't do that step. It's just something extra for me, and I don't think it makes that big of a difference, but that option is certainly there if you want it. I love making rice in my rice cooker. I will also make it in my Instant Pot, and then I love just adding whatever toppings we want to. Sometimes we will do salsa, we will do lime, we will do avocado. Sometimes if I've made guacamole, we'll do that. But this is definitely one of those meals that is just great for a crowd. We've served this at holidays before. It's a really, really good option. So this is one of the ones in the video that I have made before and will absolutely make again. All right, recipe number 2 is a recipe for Hawaiian chicken. This recipe, actually, I saw this in a video, a YouTube video by a girl, her channel is Laura's Life Joy, so I'll link her video down below where she showed this. But basically, it's a combination of, again, some fruit juice, some pineapple, you've got some peppers, and then there's sort of like a Hawaiian Asian sauce here. So you chop up some boneless, skinless chicken thighs and you brown them. You definitely don't have to do this step, and on the blog that this recipe is originally from, it said that that's optional. But then after you brown the chicken or just dice it and put it in there without browning it, then you top it with the vegetables and then you top it with all the ingredients for your sauce. So we've got garlic, we have some soy sauce, we have some sesame oil, we have some brown sugar. It just helps to create this kind of dark brown, rich, sweet sauce. And then it said that you could add pepper flakes to taste, so I did add some of those. I did want to note I wouldn't normally use a metal utensil in the crock pot because I wouldn't want to scratch the surface, but I tried to be careful not to touch around the perimeter. Again, anything I can do to eliminate having to dirty up another dish, I will do. All right, so this is what the Hawaiian chicken looked like after it was in the crock pot for a while. It was really good. I wouldn't say that it was 5-star. I would say that it was good. So I'm pretty critical of whenever I make something new, and if it's not 5-star, then I might not make it again. But we ate it, and then we ate off of the leftovers for a couple of days. All right, the next one is another new one, and you'll see a lot of similar ingredients for this one. This was for beef and broccoli. So we actually took dinner to a local family that just had a baby, so we got to go see their newborn baby, and we got to bring them some dinner. So I'm not going to make you watch me chop up the beef, but you start by using a cut of beef. This was a chuck roast, I think. Does anybody else smell everything when they're cooking? I smell everything, especially if I'm taking it to somebody. I just want to make sure it's fresh. So again, very similar formula here. You put your protein in, you put a sauce on the top, and I am horrible and did not take a picture or video of my meal all packed up and ready to take to our friends, but this is what it looked like. It was beef and broccoli in a sauce, and again, we served it with jasmine rice, and it was really good. So I will be adding this one to the rotation. I would make this again for sure. All right, so this is what most mornings look like for me. Yawning and just trying to pull it together. So today's recipe is fajitas. So typically with fajitas, I make these on a sheet pan. I have a really good recipe that I really like that a friend gave to me, but I wanted to try just a different method. So fajitas, I feel like, are pretty self-explanatory. It's usually just whatever meat and then peppers and onions and then some sort of seasoning. I did want to note that I learned how to chop an onion in probably my first year of being married. I ended up watching a YouTube video by this woman. I think her name is Robin, and her dad owns a restaurant or owned a restaurant, and they have a Hispanic background, and I learned how to chop an onion from her. And so I think of her and her video whenever I chop an onion. And yes, I got tomato sauce on my shirt. But anyway, so you do diced tomatoes and you do the peppers and onions and the garlic, and then you put your chicken in there and do a spice rub, kind of like we did for the carnitas, except this is just a dry rub. And then you come back in with the rest of your tomatoes and the rest of your peppers. So just like with the other things, we are going to set it and forget it. So this particular day we went and we played, we hung out, we did all kinds of stuff. And then whenever you come home, what you're supposed to do is remove a little of the liquid, and you're supposed to top it with a mixture of lime juice and honey. So that's what I did. Now you can see here, there is still a good bit of juice. So these are going to be more of your messy fajitas. There's definitely going to be a lot of juice. This also would be good with rice. We did it with tortillas because at this point we just had a lot of rice. I did make some black beans in the Instant Pot to go along with this, and it was really delicious. The last one I wanted to show you, I actually did not get to make. It's on my list, but I didn't get to it. This is by Naptime Kitchen, and I may have mentioned this before, but this honey butter crock-pot chicken is really good. It has some different flavors in it. It's got curry powder, it has honey, it has mustard, and then it has chickpeas. So I really like this recipe, and like I said, this is one that I've made before and will make again. I think she's mentioned before that she takes this a lot to people whenever she's taking a meal to someone, and it's definitely a good candidate for that. So I wanted to make sure I included it even though I didn't get to it. So like I mentioned, some of these recipes were newer, and then some of them were old favorites that I have made time and time again. And then some of them, like the fajitas, were something that I have made, but I haven't done in this way using this tool. So I would just encourage you to try it out, make some crock-pot things this summer. Give yourself the freedom of just setting it and forgetting it. Most of these recipes took me 15 minutes. A couple of them took a little bit longer, like the Hawaiian chicken, because I browned the chicken beforehand, but that's an optional step. You definitely don't have to do that. Most of them really were 15 minutes, and then when we would come home in the evening, we would combine maybe a rice or tortillas and maybe a vegetable and call it a day. All right, you guys, so I would love to know down in the comments if there are any meals that are your go-to summer staples. I know I just bought a large pack of thick cut bacon, and we are going to be making some BLTs, and I just cleaned off the grills, and this is going to be the summer that I learn how to grill well. Currently, my favorite lunch is chicken salad, and I can share that recipe and do a video on that if you would like to see it. So I would love to hear your ideas down in the comments. What are the things that you currently have on repeat? Again, if you missed the other videos in this sort of mini summer series, I will link that playlist down below. Just really looking at ways that we can enjoy our summer and save money, and not feeling like we have to just shell out money at every turn, but that we can save it for the things that really count and really matter to us. All right, you guys, thank you so much as always for stopping by my channel. If you have not subscribed, I would love for you to do that and give this video a thumbs up. Thank you again, and I'll be talking to you soon.